All right, what's going on, everybody? How are you? We're back. I have to just read something really quick before we even just have our little group chat session here. Just this morning, I was just looking at some stuff online, just looking up some numbers and statistics. And I became curious. I wanted to know how many, if we have about 100 billion suns in our galaxy alone, I was kind of curious of how many suns did they estimate, how many suns did they estimate in the entire universe. Now, some galaxies have more than the Milky Way, like the Andromeda Galaxy is estimated to have about 100 trillion suns in it. But based on our galaxy, the Milky Way, this is the mathematical numbers. In our universe, based on 100 billion stars per galaxy, there is 100 octillion suns, which there is definitely way more, but 100 octillion suns in our universe. That is a 1 with 29 zeros after it. So look, it is just the most insane, crazy, I could fix that, most insane, crazy thing to really conceive, to think that we are alone in the universe. And here's the deal, like what I was just saying before, and that's honestly my opinion, is for somebody to sit there and go, no, we are all there is, this is all there is, we were all that was ever created, is a very dangerous. Seriously, I mean that in the full sense of the word danger. It's a very dangerous way to think. But if that's what people want to believe in, then that's fine. But here's the deal. What happens is a lot of people who do not believe in things like extraterrestrial, who don't even believe in the possibility of it, they become what I refer to as very closed-minded or very narrow-minded. Very narrow-minded. And they instill that type of mentality in all other aspects of their life. They will also look at somebody who does believe in the possibility of extraterrestrial or just firmly believes in extraterrestrial. They will look at them like they're crazy or they're lesser of a person or there is something off and wrong with them, when in fact, honestly, in my opinion, it is that person themselves who has some type of an issue or a personal deficiency, because to shut yourself off from that possibility means that you don't even express your own imagination, you don't even think for yourself, and you're probably not even researching much except more of the information that you were already told, and you're just reading and reading the same type of thing. Now, I don't mean this in any offensive way, but when people become very, 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 very obsessively devout in their religion, you have to think that they're basing this off of a very old text. They're living today by those words. They're not even expanding their mental capacity in a spiritual sense, because that's all they're taking in, and they won't listen to anything else. You know, if we even jump ahead to our society, the people who salute the flag, let's send more bombs, send in more troops, make more weapons, keep the education system going. You know, this type of mentality of this is my country and I'm honoring the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and it's my right to own a gun. If you actually looked back and read what people like George Washington wanted to do with the Indians, is murder all their women and children, destroy all their crops so they can't even, wanted to make the race extinct. And these are words that came right out of his mouth. When we look at the actions of the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence and signed our Bill of Rights, these people were flawed people. They were slave owners. They beat their wives. They believed a woman should be in the home, not making a penny, just pumping out children. So we can not base our life today on that mentality anymore or lifestyle. And we most certainly cannot make my son and my children and your children's future based on those insane, ridiculous beliefs. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because just opening your mind to the possibility of the fact that we could be in a universe that does have another intelligent life form out there actually means that you are just opening your mind up a little bit. You are thinking for yourself, and you're not deluded and thinking. You are thinking for yourself. You know, when somebody says we are all there is, and I explain, well, look, there's 100 billion suns in our galaxy alone, and we are in one galaxy out of 100 billion, so there is just the most insane amount of life out there. When they can't even conceive that, I have to realize that they still don't get the numbers. They look at Earth, they look at the sun, they know Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and that's all there is. They go, oh yeah, we live in that spiral galaxy, but they just don't have a concept of what that spiral galaxy is. People don't even realize, think of what I just said, there is 100 octillion stars estimated in our universe. This eye, my eyeball, this right eye right here, and my left, but my right eye has more atoms in it than there are stars in the entire universe. So when you start to think of these things, the complexity of the human body, nothing to do with our celestial spirit or soul, just the human body, a freaking earthworm, the complexity in an earthworm, you have to understand that this is a created universe. If this is, in fact, a created universe by an intelligent being, what intelligent being would create such a huge, vast universe with so many livable planets that there is not even a number to put on it? What intelligent being would make this and go, I'm just going to put life on that one right there? No way. That would be done by a really dumb being. You wouldn't create all that and waste all that energy and waste all that space and waste all that time and waste all those resources to put 6 billion people or 1 billion people or 4 people on one planet. You would never create all of that. Let's look at what we create today. If I needed to make an office, if I wanted to build a new studio, would I build a skyscraper and then put my studio in room C on the 7th floor of that skyscraper? Of course not. Of course not. So any intelligent being is not going to waste resources in space. So for those who just want to sit there and go, nope, we are all there is, I'm begging you, begging you to give me the benefit of doubt, and just take a couple of hours and read. Open your eyes, do some researching online, listen to the stories. There are more literal accounts of alien abductions than there are people in the Bible talking about stories. I want to back up about something. If God made man and woman and was supposed to be equal in all this, why is woman's role in the Bible such a small thing? Where are the women prophets? Women don't have visions. Women don't get a say in what's going on in the creation of the world. So there, even the Bible, written by man, who back then oppressed women. I mean, for God's sakes, the Bible was written on land where they still oppress women. Our religious scripts come from old ways of thinking, old world beliefs, and we don't need to go into this because I'm not really, I might sound like I'm trashing it. Look, I was raised in the Catholic household. I believe that there is so much validity in the religious text. But for me, when I read things in the various Bibles, or I hear the stories, you will say, yeah, that sounds great, that sounds great. What the heck are they talking about? That could never possibly be, that's just ridiculous. Oh yeah, right. He traveled the planet and collected 2 of everything from giraffes to ants. Please, we can't go and just swallow these stories without using this thing here in our head. Let me just show you a little comparison right here. This right here is a real image of a very small portion of our universe, meaning way, way in here in this big shiny cluster is a just massive cluster of galaxies. If we zoomed into this, let me do my weatherman skills here, this one little point of light here, we would find in this one little point there are thousands and thousands of galaxies, not solar systems, not planets, full galaxies. This is a real picture of our universe. We live inside of this. Looks interesting, right? Looks very complex. Every single thing you see is connected. This little spot down here is all the way connected over here. This spot here is connected to stuff behind me, all connected. Very similar to the neurons in the human brain. Let's go back. Let's look at that one more time. Our universe. Get a good look at that now. Don't look at me. Here, let me get out of your way. And let's look at the neurons in our brain. Very similar. What's humorous to me is there's our neurons, the space between it, the black areas is very spacious. But what we exist in, this big cloud, this big universe, God, the all-knowing, all-seeing being that we are a part of, man, look how complex that brain is. Because that's what we exist in. We exist in the mind of God. Whatever God is, whoever God is, physical man or quantum computer that will be invented and evolved on over the next 1,000 years, and then we will create universes. Whatever you want to believe in is fine. It's fine. You have your beliefs. I have mine. I'd love to sit down with you and hear your beliefs. I'd love to talk to you. No kind of condescending way. We should be able to sit down at religious tables and talk about these things. But just for those who are, nope, no extraterrestrials. Backing up to a few weeks ago, the Vatican has already accepted it. The Roman Catholic Church has already accepted the possibility, and not even the possibility, they said, yeah, the likelihood is just infinitesimal, and it's all a part of God's creation. So you can look that up for yourself if you don't believe me. As a matter of fact, Reverend Joseph Funes is the Vatican astronomer, head of the Vatican Observatory. So you can go look at this. The other thing that you might want to think about as you're waving your flag, not believing in extraterrestrials, is our own United Nations in the United States has an ambassador to extraterrestrial affairs. They have an entire office that is dedicated to extraterrestrial activity. And they even have meetings and council meetings on this stuff. Go online and look it up for yourself. And the interesting thing is there's a big thing about to go on at the United Nations, and Obama, the Pope, and Putin are all going to be there. And I'm telling you, we are on the cusp of the world having this information revealed. And there you go. I said it was going to be the Roman Catholic Church alongside world leaders. Well, Russia and the United States are pretty much the world leaders who voice their opinion and speak. You know, China is very quiet for the most part, things like that, even though they are huge and more powerful than you and I could possibly even imagine. And they actually probably even own this country by now with the debt we have with them. But going back to this, you know, we have to understand that we are connected. Not only are all our thoughts connected, I think my thoughts go out. They're out there in the world. They're out there in the universe. They connect with you. Everything we think about, everything we see, everything we feel, everything we touch, everything we taste, everything we act upon, everything we say, every action we create, every reaction we have to an action, all goes out there. It's all for God, the universe, the collective, the consciousness to experience and understand what a physical life is. That's why we have these bodies, these temples. That's why we can beam our celestial beings, our souls into these bodies and experience the worlds created. Okay? Now, I'm just going to end up with this. This, my body, when I told you my family, how we lived long for so long and all the things we did and what we did to our body and the stories we believed in, I grew up in Queens, New York. I was born in 1968. I grew up primarily, you know, dinner foods would be hamburger, some chicken here and there, but mostly pasta, very, inexpensive foods. My family, we had no money, stuff like that. And, for snacks was always Devil Dogs and ice creams and Chips Ahoy's and Entenmann's products and things like that. And I basically went from formula. I was not a breastfed baby. I went from formula to chocolate milk to soda, pretty much. Water was a non-existent thing in my life. And my entire life, my primary sources of food were soda and sugar foods, Oreos and snacks and junk foods and things like that. And I can't even tell you the damage that I've done to my body physically and mentally by just the foods I've eaten. Now, who taught me to eat these foods? Who put these foods on the shelves? Who blesses these foods and makes them kosher? Who says this is what we should share on the tables for dinner? Our church and our government does. And now we're at a point in our society where people are shifting and we're waking up and churches are getting hip and they're accepting extraterrestrials and they're opening their arms to the gay and lesbian community. Our government is getting hip that the countries and nations and cities of the world are coming together. So they're doing things to try and separate us. They're screwing with people's Second Amendment rights and they're legalizing gay marriage, which I'm an advocate of. Nobody has a right to tell anybody this, but they're doing all this to throw a big monkey wrench into the engine. They're trying to muck things up again so they can step in and take strong control. This is where we need to make things stop. And honestly, I said in, I think, the first or second broadcast I did, the first thing we have to do as a nation, is come together for our voting process. Very simple. Our voting process. We vote for lawyers and businessmen. What do lawyers do? They make new laws. We sit around and make jokes about lawyers. We talk about how it is a ridiculous industry, how it's ridiculous to become a lawyer. There are more lawyers than this. How many lawyers is it this? We elect them to run our country and dictate our lives to us. Businessmen, people who are basing their lives on personal monetary gain. We elect them and put them in office and let them dictate our lives. No educators, no scientists, no humanitarians, no nutritionists, no farmers, no idiots like me are running this country, when in fact it is supposed to be the people like us who run this country. So the way we take this country back is we need to get a petition together to create that choice C on election day. When we get that choice of A, Jeb Bush, and B, Hillary Clinton, we need that C, and not an undecided. I'm not an idiot. It can't be an undecided. It has to be a dissatisfied, a none of the above category. You see, not going out and voting is not you making a stance. It's you sitting in your house and being lazy and not voicing your opinion. We have to write Congress, we have to write our local politicians, and we have to demand, as citizens of this country, with a petition that has so many signatures on it that it breaks historical records, that we demand that choice C. Because I want to go out and vote, and I want to go, do I want another Bush in the White House? Do I want a Republican? Do I want that mentality in the White House? No. Do I want this Democrat? Do I want a Hillary Clinton in the White House? No, I don't, because these people's minds are corrupted. They were raised on these principles and beliefs that have been destroying our lives for decades. We've been trying to make changes for decades and nothing happens. So we need that choice C where we go, no, 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 no. They all suck. We've got choice C, none of the above. Bad candidates, bad choice, whatever we want it, but we need to have that option so we can go out and go, but, and like I said, not to be redundant, we wake up on election day the next morning and we go, oh look, 20% of the country voted for Jeb Bush. 20% of the country, I'll be fair, 20% of the country voted for Hillary Clinton. Oh, wow, what do you know? 60% of the voting country doesn't like either candidate. Now, of course, because it is an electoral process and where we can't now not have a president. So one of those two would still have to win and be the president. But right there, that one statistic starts to change that engine. Also, the electoral vote. Stop being stupid. It's got to go. Voting is done by popular vote. End of story. End of story. I don't care when people defend the reasons and justify the electoral votes. Popular vote. If a person is not pushing a button, then that number does not count. So, we have to come together. We are not Americans. We're not Europeans. We're not Africans. We are humans. We are earthlings, and we are all on one planet that is a part of one universe. We cannot let a country, a government that is basing its beliefs on old world beliefs that still enslaved races, murdered and almost committed genocide and wiped people off the planet. We cannot condone that and still contribute to it today. We talk about, we look at people in history like Hitler. Horrible, monster, evil, yeah. Killed 6 million Jewish people, yeah, and he did this and he did that, and he would, thank God that guy's not here anymore because it would have been a nightmare. But how many people, how many Indians were killed? How many Africans died in the slave trade? How many people have died in the name of war for money and for oil? And we are supporting those governments and religions that back up that type of way of life. So do me a favor, knock off the bullshit. We have to wake up and make a stance. So one of you who sees this, do me a favor, because I'm pretty friggin' busy. Find out how we start that petition to get that choice C going. Let's get this going. Right now, you and me. I will light the fire under your ass because I light the fire under my own ass. And now listen, I want to tell you something. I love technology. I love going outside and being able to buy stuff. I love having supermarkets, and there has to be a structured society and government. I'm not saying that we need to be some anarchist, just chaotic system that runs around doing whatever the hell we want to do. Absolutely not. The polar opposite of that. But what we are doing is not and has not and will not ever work. Never. So everybody, if you want to send in a question, we don't really get many questions yet here, so I'm just going to pop open this and see if there is anything in the Migration of Life email, and if not, I'm going to wrap it up and go hang out and do some stuff today. Oh, I don't even have that email open. My apologies. Give me 1 second. But we have to, as inhabitants of this planet, we've got to stop with oh, you guys, the way you live over there in this land is terrible, and we're going to come over there and we're going to change the way you live. We've got to stop that because there are so many issues here, and we can't point another finger at another culture, another person, and just condemn them for where they are or who their government is. It's just asinine. Condemning a person because of their religious beliefs, we don't want to believe that we're brainwashed. And maybe we're not brainwashed, maybe we're not, but we are slowly and methodically manipulated from children into adulthood. And we take that and we turn around and we put that into our children and we raise them on things that resonate wrongly with us. But we do it because we believe it's tradition, and we're honoring the tradition of our parents and our grandparents and our forefathers. Well, listen, I'm telling you, those ways need to die. They need to end. All right, so let me just see, it's just so heartbreaking. It really is. We have the potential to be so incredibly amazing. And why is this email not opening? And I'm dropping my mouse. Why is this not opening? So let me see. Let's see. Nope, wrong one. Sorry. My apologies. I should have put my glasses on, right? They're sitting right on top of my head, but that's okay. There we go. So if anybody is going to say something or put something in, we can see it now. As far as the chat room, I know there's still a couple of people watching right now. like about 6 people out of 90 have jumped in here. Yeah, the chat room is even quiet. So I'm just going to wrap it up. But listen, I want everybody to know something. I think there is something in there. Yeah, I'll get to it afterwards. You know, I wake up in the morning every single day, and I try my hardest to start that day off with a smile. When I walk around my house and I interact with my family, I always greet everybody in the morning with a bright hello. I dance around my house. I joke a lot. But I do know on social media and stuff, I make a lot of posts. And one thing we can't do is we can't judge a person's attitude or motivation behind a post just behind the words. I've had my post read when I have totally met them innocently and politely. I've had them read to where people think I'm being rude or condescending. And I'm not justifying or defending myself in any way. I know sometimes I sound very rough when I speak. I know I get loud and I've got that rough edginess to my voice and stuff. But listen, bottom line is when people meet me, you know, when I've had people here to my house that I've known from online and stuff, they're like, oh man, wow, you're so much different in person. I thought like you were just so much more, you know, and I really, I really do, as odd as this sounds, I really do love everybody. Even the people who piss me off and post stuff that just makes me want to jump out of my skin, because I stop and I think to myself that it's not them. They're not really living their life. These, you know, we sit in our homes at night and we can't sleep at night, and we eat foods to compensate worry and stress, and we beat ourselves up over so many things that we don't like in our lives. But then we wake up the next day and we keep on doing those things. And that's what I'm trying to do. I would live in a cardboard box and eat a bowl of rice a day for the rest of my life than ever jump back into what society honors a normal way of life. I've said it. And that's why so many of us go in our homes and feel so just negative. You turn on the news, it's all negative. Most of the TV shows are all about horror and drama. We thrive on movies with explosions and knives and blood and gore because we're just so used to everything sucking so much around us. We forgot that everything around us is actually incredibly beautiful. And if we would just shut up and stop some of that nonsense and put that positive, that negative nature behind us a little bit, we would really, really understand that that person standing next to you who looks different than you, who smells different than you, who thinks differently than you, is you. All right, everybody, have a great day. I'll see you all next week. Every Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here whether you like it or not. So if you want to hang out, come on in. If you do want to join in the chat room at some time, I think what you just have to do is sign up with Ustream, so you'd have a username and password for Ustream, because this does broadcast on Ustream free, and it does broadcast through my unityof1.com site. And I'd love to get everybody corresponding in the chat. Think about this. If we got 10 people in here one week and 5 of them were in the chat room and they're from different parts of the world and we're chatting and talking about something, we're starting to come together and unify. And we could turn that number 5 into 500, and we could turn it into 5,000. And one day we can all be sitting here chatting, hanging out, meeting each other in your country, in my country, and in all the places, and starting to develop the future. We don't have to live today by the world of tomorrow, but by the world of yesterday. Remember, I said that last week. We can change the world of today to live a better world tomorrow. Everyone, I'll see you next week. God bless you, and namaste.